Hey everyone, Matt here, and I'm covering the new Rockstars episode for the Stranger Things Season 4 trailer. So I wanted to cover this because, first of all, I love the show, obviously, and, I wanted to know more about what's going on in this trailer and everything, because I might have sounded like a friggin' doofus when I was reacting there, and even though I've been a fan and I've watched the series multiple times and everything, I thought I'd come by and see like what else I was missing in that video. So I mean, I sounded like I didn't know what the hell I was talking about, and it's a new nerdy thing, and hey, it's been around for for such a short amount of time. I thought I'd see what's going on, and if anybody wants, hey, let me know. I'll cover more of these when I start going over Moon Knight, which hopefully should be very soon. So like and subscribe, and let's get this video started.
I'm Eric Boss, and this is a breakdown of the trailer for Stranger Things Season 4, where the children of Hawkins are haunted by a ticking representation of how their own youth has been awkwardly drained from them over 4 seasons of streaming content. From Vecna to changing graves to a secret number code hidden in one frame of this trailer, I'm gonna break this down frame by frame for everything you might have missed. Let's go!
You've broken everything. Your suffering is almost at an end.
So we start with the wreckage of the machine under the Starcourt Mall from Season 3 after it exploded in a blast that seemingly killed Hopper, but the mid-credit scene revealed him alive in Russia, suggesting he actually went through that rift, a rift that interestingly opens on the other end to Russia. Some thoughts on that later. A transference seemingly confirmed in this shot by that rift still glowing, as if it isn't yet all the way closed. The opening sound of this trailer actually sounds kind of like an evil cackle. It also sounds like the 80s horror synth percussion that was popularized by John Carpenter's instrumentation in the Halloween movies. Like the...
No, that's Jason Voorhees.
But the voice we hear is that of the villain of the season, whose eyes...
$300 for that and $2,000 for this, way too expensive. But today I'm going to show you guys how to get all this stuff for a lot cheaper.
Is flash in this section. In his full form, we see at the end of the trailer, this is Vecna. Keeping in with the tradition of the Demogorgon and the Mind Flayer, Vecna is another character from Dungeons & Dragons, but is not based on any mythological origin, but rather a truly original character from Gary Gygax's Greyhawk campaign setting of D&D. Vecna is an anagram for Vance, as in Jack Vance, author of The Dying Earth, which inspired the early feel of D&D. Vecna really began as a set of cursed artifacts, a severed hand, and a gouged out eye, that over time kind of evolved into...
I have no idea anything about D&D.
The early D&D settings. A wizard turned lich turned demigod. By the way, a lich is a wizard who embraces undeath to cling to the mortal world, often taking the form of a gaunt, skeletal humanoid with skin stretched tight over its bones. Vecna's voice croaks, "You've broken everything. Your suffering is almost at an end." So based on the editing at least, Vecna might be associated with this ticking grandfather clock that has returned in every trailer for this. The Duffer Brothers said in their trailer commentary on IGN that this clock is a very, very important clue, very important to the story that they didn't want to give away yet. I'm thinking the grandfather clock could be a kind of omen that presents itself to you as a way of Vecna saying that your time is up and he's coming to claim you. Though it sounds like this season's going to show us the origin of the Upside Down. Maybe Vecna is the super ego who lords over it all. I just find it interestingly ironic that all these villains take the form of D&D characters, almost as if they were birthed from the mind of an in-universe D&D nerd. As if it's the imagination of some kid rolling a 20-sided dice who's bringing these things to life. Here, a close-up shows the Vecna's eyes opening blue. The Duffer Brothers said this practical makeup was done by Barry Gower, who also did the prosthetics for the blue-eyed Night King of Game of Thrones.
I'm sure they did.
Victims of Chernobyl, and that it was really important for them for their boogeyman to be practical, to evoke horror villains like Freddy Krueger and Pinhead. Freddy especially known for calling out from alternate dimensions the way Vecna now does. On to the next clip.
See? You see that? I thought the entire time that was the Mind Flayer. Man, like, wow. I was super wrong. I didn't do any research. So, hey, what are you going to do? I'm finding out now.
Billy, I don't know if you can even hear this.
I didn't even know she was actually talking to her older brother.
Total disaster.
So Max reads a letter to her brother Billy, who died after being possessed by the Mind Flayer last season. This trailer opens with the reading of a letter to a deceased character. Season 3 ended with the reading of a letter from a seemingly deceased character. We get a little nod to the Upside Down with this upside down shot of a crime scene with Hawkins locals gathering to look as a body bag is carted away. This season the group is split up. The Byers family, Joyce, Jonathan, Will, relocated to California with 11, while the rest, Mike, Dustin, Lucas, Steve, Robin, Nancy, Max, and Erica stayed behind in Hawkins. Mike will at one point visit 11 in California, probably on a spring break trip. Meanwhile, of course, Hopper over in Russia. On to the next clip.
For a while, we tried to be happy. Normal. I know that's impossible.
So we see how Lucas has joined the basketball team, leaving Mike and Dustin glumly applauding from the bleachers as their friend moves up the social ladder without them. Now, there are some posters celebrating the seniors as class of '86, dating this series in spring 1986. And I will just note that the Chernobyl disaster happened in April 1986, and the Duffers said they shot the Russian exteriors in Lithuania deliberately to evoke Chernobyl, which technically Chernobyl was in modern-day Ukraine, and hopefully it stays modern-day Ukraine. But still, with the makeup, that is twice that in their commentary they reference Chernobyl. And I have theorized in the past that the origin of the Upside Down could have been one of the past covered up Soviet nuclear disasters that led up to
that could be really interesting, huh?
Mike wears his Hellfire Club shirt, the Hellfire Club being the name of his D&D group from season 1, named after the mutant group from the X-Men comics. And now we see the series newcomer and major D&D nerd, Eddie Munson, wearing the same shirt later this trailer. 11 and...
Wow. See, you see that? For some reason, the whole time, I thought that was his mother. I thought that was Will's mother, Winona Ryder's character. That whole time. Wow. I am super behind. I mean, not even super behind. I just made all these assumptions based on very little information, just on the trailer alone. It's a good thing these guys exist, just so we could get and watch this stuff.
Will attend Lenora Hills High School in California, Lenora Hills being a fictional town. It looks like Will did a project on Alan Turing, father of computer science. I don't mean to read too much into this, but with some interpretations of Will in season 3 speculating he might be gay, Alan Turing was cruelly forced to stay in the closet with his accomplishments in computing not credited to him. You can imagine this being something Will might be able to identify with. But whatever his orientation, it's fine by me. I don't want to force this character.
I think he's reading way too
and
much
then we see
into
the
it.
grandfather clock presenting itself to Max, wedged into a school wall. Possibly an indicator that the Vecna has targeted her, and we do see her floating above the gravesite later. But I got more to say about that. Let's move on. Shots of the prison labor camp in Kamchatka, where Hopper is kept, walking down those train tracks we saw him working on in the From Russia with Love teaser all the way back in February 2020. Remember that? The 4 times? The music throughout this trailer is Journey's Separate Ways. The editing here synced to Steve Perry's vocals as he sings, "Worlds apart, hearts broken in two. Reflecting how all of these characters, once united, are now worlds apart, geographically worlds, and in some cases, dimensional worlds. Mike visits with 11 and Will in California, holding 11's hand at the roller rink, and Will, looking at Mike, ain't too happy about it. Will, whatever it is, you do you. Moving on.
Because I thought...
No, I'm saying that Will probably is a little... Just because I finally noticed that thing, and, again, this is the mistakes that I made, but maybe Will's finally gonna tell Mike how he feels about him and everything, and it's gonna cause a problem. I don't know. It's weird. That would be super awkward, man. And I hope Stranger Things can do it well, and not botch it up.
Thought you'd be safe. War is coming. I'm afraid your friends at Hawkins are very much in the eye of the storm.
We hear the voice of Dr. Sam Owens, the great Paul Reiser, returning for season 2, and we later see he is talking with 11 in a diner, with the Duffers saying in addition to obviously wanting to reference Reiser as Bishop in Aliens, they also wanted to nod to his role in the 1982 film Diner. Joyce receives a package with a ton of stamps from the USSR. I don't think Hopper would be in a position to send her this kind of mail, but I do think this may have been sent to her by Murray Bauman, whom we last heard his outgoing voicemail message from a number teased by the show's social media, telling Joyce that he found something something interesting. I'm guessing that interesting thing is Hopper still alive. Meanwhile, the Hawkins kids visit the Creel house, home of Victor Creel, a guy who murdered his family in the 50s. The 80s version played by Freddy Krueger actor himself, but his younger self played by Kevin L. Johnson, aka Sam from Ozark, because Netflix loves to reuse its actors. An overhead shot shows the light bulb above their heads glowing brighter, evoking that light bulb over Will in the opening scene of the pilot episode when the Demogorgon took him. Nearby you can see some candles suggesting other kids over the years might have conducted seances in this haunted house. On to the next clip.
I don't have my powers.
I don't know how to say this other than just to say it.
I think we should explore a few solutions.
Grammarly suggestion.
Without you, we can't win this war.
Okay, 11 reminds us that she no longer has her powers, which she lost in their final battle against the Mind Flayer last season. But the war Dr. Owens is referring to might just be the Cold War, which did heat back up in the 80s. And I've always thought that 11's government experiments might have just been an American countermeasure to build up these psychic super soldiers to combat Soviet bioweapons, aka the Demogorgon and the Demo Dogs, and now it looks like the Demo Bats of this season. But it looks like 11 is being detained and forced back into the front lines of whatever that fight was. But the craziest detail of this trailer comes at 1 minute and 59 seconds. You gotta pause it at the exact frame where it reveals this trippy image that looks kind of like acid washed film, but with lightning streaking through it, with a series of these burn spots looking almost like white portals. And beside each is a numerical time code: 146, 230, 033, and 052. Okay, the game is afoot! Okay, this could mean all kinds
they made it for him.
Right now, I think this applies to time codes in this trailer. At 146, we see Mike watching 11 get driven away. At 2:30, we see the D&D nerd Eddie Munson greeting us. At 0:33, that was the shot of Billy's gravestone. And then 0:52, that was the shot of Destin and Mike at the game. But if you superimpose the acid wash frame over each of the corresponding shots, the white portals line up with letters on signs and shirts in those particular frames. So if you go chronologically through this trailer, at 33 seconds, the one with 3 white portals, those line up with the letters I, A, and M on Billy's gravestone. And then 052, the portal lines up with Hell on Mike's shirt. At 146, that tiny little portal lines up with H and I of Lenora Hills. And 230 lines up with Master of the Dungeon Master's screen flyer. So if I'm right about this, altogether, chronologically, the frame would spell out I am Hell, High Master. Or if we were to go left to right, top to bottom, regardless of the order of these showing up in the trailer, the phrase would be Hi, I am Master Hell. Either way, I am feeling like this is Etna f***ing with us and I am freaking out. And I'll be honest with you, here, Demo Bats swoop in toward that Creel house in the upside down, maybe? We do see some red lightning strikes and you can see there are dozens more of these Demo Bats swarming over it. Now when you look closely at these bats, I just love how they don't seem to have any legs or claws, just kind of these droopy tendrils hanging down. Almost like anatomically or biologically, these are not meant to ever land or roost anywhere, but rather, much like the face hugger of Alien, latch onto things with their mouths. If you think about it, with the original Demogorgon matching the bipedal xenomorph, and the Demo Dogs in Season 2 matching the quadrupedal xenomorph dog in Aliens 3, I just love how the evolution of these things mirrors the Alien franchise. Also, in that lightning strike, you can see that the Creel house is right across the street.
Let's be fair, Alien
casting it as a kind of
series
creepy
belongs
specter
to
the kids
the
of
80s.
Hawkins would have exchanged urban legends about. Then a shot of Steve and Nancy pulling on a tied bedsheet that probably dangles from a portal above them. Steve wears a jean vest with the pin for the 80s metal band Wasp, but I really want to know what's going on with his chest. It's like a darker region that could be a tattoo, or like the chest carpet matches the drapes. Or maybe it's some kind of rot or mold, like something that might allow him to breathe in the upside down. I don't know. Behind them are some vines snaking all over the wall, suggesting that they might already be in the upside down, or the upside down might have spread out to terraform this side of Hawkins. I have a theory about what these things are that we'll get to at the end of the video. It looks like they are in or around that vine-colored Forest Hills trailer park that Eddie, Mike, Nancy, and Steve pedal into. We see Hopper in Russia, a gas mask strapped on, just like he had to suit up before venturing into the upside down in Hawkins Season 1, to me confirming that Russia must have their own backdoor into the upside down, and that's how he got there, and that they might have been using that connection to unleash Demogorgons into the American heartland. But back in the USSR, it looks like they are now testing the Demogorgon in a freaking gladiator arena with these poor other prisoners. Now this Demogorgon looks smaller than the one from Season 1, so maybe it's younger, but I assume that Hopper's not going to die in this death pit. He's probably going to defeat it, which might be the Soviets' way of making stronger and stronger demo bioweapons, kind of like Syndrome Syndrome and Incredibles, testing deadlier and deadlier Cronoses against Mr. Incredible. And yeah, this mythology does make David Harbour my fake daddy, so... Then Eddie Munson, Dungeon Master, greets us in his Hellfire Club shirt, Ozzy Osbourne hair. Love this guy. Looks like he set up a St. Basil's Cathedral standee behind him, the landmark from Moscow. Just another interesting Russia connection. Also behind him are a bunch of D&D and cosplay outfits hung up. Like I mentioned before, I just think it's possible that the upside down D&D demonic figures in it, all this tying in with Russia, this just might all be projections coming from Eddie's imagination. Maybe this guy was one of the other previous numbers from 11's testing program. He could have been number 1. And that when these psychic kids got connected to the Upside Down, all of his nerdy fantasies populated the dimension. On to the next clip.
People say Hawkins is cursed. They're not way off.
Whoa! So this season will flash back to 11's time when she was younger in the Hawkins lab, perhaps de-aging Millie Bobby Brown. As you see in Rainbow Room from the earlier teaser, there is a rift on the wall in a mirror there, blood all over her gown pouring from her eyes. The Duffers confirm that we will learn what happened to the other numbers. We met 8 in season 2,
Really?
There's a whole bunch of other numbers in that lineup, maybe even ones after 11. But they also said this shot of 11 screaming, the soldiers blasting off her, this is not a flashback. So she's gonna end up getting her head shaved, and she's gonna have to go back into that psychic child soldier mode. I'm wondering if these guys are Russians, as she's now rescuing Hopper from that facility. There's one shot of Erica in this trailer in the Creel house, using what looks like a bug zapper as a lantern. Then there's this shot of Steve swimming up to an underwater rift.
Yeah, what is
this? The quarry from season 1. Actually, later we see him bursting up out of the other side of that portal, tethered. So this underwater portal burps up into open air on the other side. One of the stranger shots in this trailer is Max floating above the gravesite over Lucas, Steve, and Dustin. Obviously, this is going to be a big season for Max. I'm guessing she's going to be a major target of the Vecna. But look at Billy's gravestone. Before, it said Billy Hargrove. Now, it says William Hargrove? The birth and the death dates and the epitaph are all the same, so I don't know if this was a production error or if this headstone might get destroyed and then replaced at some point and it either shortened or lengthened.
Probably not. Probably not. It was just a production error, probably.
Fleeing a red-tinted hellscape toward a portal in the distance that looks like, and that portal has 3 figures peering out at her, probably Lucas, Steve, and Dustin. Whoa. This could be what that possession looks like from her point of view when she's trapped in this other dimension, trying to sprint back to her 3 friends on the other side. But we see in the foreground, chasing after her, looks like the clawed hand of the Vecna there. Then another shot of Steve batting down a demo bat with an oar, as Eddie rocks out with his guitar on the trailer roof. What the hell is this Mad Max Fury Road shit, and why do I love it so much? I'm wondering if they could have set up this amp at a specific frequency to attract all the bats away from someplace else, like the Creel house. And Eddie is just enjoying it.
Oh, okay, yes.
Then this awesome shot of Robert Englund as Victor Creel. His eyes are scarred shut, which might connect him to the Vecna, who, according to D&D mythology, started
maybe he's number 1.
Gouged out eye. I don't know, maybe like the Mummy or something. The Vecna is now harvesting
body
parts from various different hosts, like Victor and Max and others, all to sustain himself and stay alive. Then this crazy shot of Joyce and Murray crashing a propeller plane in a frozen forest. Looks like we're going to see some kind of rescue mission to free Hopper. Then on to the last section.
It's time. You have lost.
Ooh, man. So again, the demo bats circle the Creel house, and then we get the glory shot of the Vecna. And again, those prosthetics were all practical, except, according to the Duffers, those tendrils that stick out of his back and lower him down from the rafters. So I may be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that those tendrils are actually all of those vines that we have seen snaking everywhere across the backgrounds. That the Upside Down's vegetated outgrowth might be hive extensions of this carnivorous predator, in this case, the Vecna Lich, using these appendages to feed himself from miles and miles away. Perhaps the entire Upside Down could be an outgrowth of a singular entity Vecna, the entire dimension feeding back to the source. We may learn, folks, that the Upside Down is not a place, it's a Vecna. Let me know your favorite part from this trailer, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter.
Okay, so that was the new Rockstars video for the Stranger Things Season 4 trailer, and I gotta say, I'm a hell of a lot more enlightened now into what's going on in the trailer, because yeah, honestly, I was pretty confused after the whole thing. And yeah, it really sounds a hell of a lot better than than I gave it credit for. You know, it kind of seems maybe like a little bit of I don't know. No, not even a rehash of season 3, because that was like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So we got to see what movie they're ripping off, and what 80s movie they're ripping off in this one, so they can move the plot along forward. But yeah, I know virtually nothing about D&D. I never played it, never did whatever. The only thing I've ever seen of it is that movie, and with Justin Roiland, and boy, nobody needs to see that again, except the nostalgia critic. But hey, other than that, this is shaping up to be a really good season, and probably well worth the wait. But let's see how things go, and hopefully it's not anywhere disappointing like season 2. Even though season 2, I like it a lot better now. But yeah, also I'm interested in what he said about Vecna, that he's going around and all the leaf, because if I'm not mistaken, I think that vegetation that he was talking about was there the whole time. It wasn't it there in season 1 and season 2? I think especially in season 1, when Will went to go get saved, it seemed like there was no there was the same kind of vegetation there. So maybe this guy's been around the entire time. Maybe he's the real villain. Maybe I gave the Mind Flayer too much credit. I thought he was the big bad, though. The Mind Flayer. But hey, I guess we'll see what's going on, and hopefully I can bring it to you guys. I'm still learning how to do all this stuff, and it's coming along smoothly. So hopefully I can bring you some new content and some actual episodes of some TV shows soon. But anyway, this is That Sexy Nerd. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.